name's Shawn with SITEK Process Solutions, and today I'm going to show you how to swap out an N2 valve for an N2 Purge Saver Valve. Some tools you may need for this build are a 1/4-inch wrench, 5/16 wrench for removing the nuts, a pair of flush cuts in case you have to cut tubing, and a small pair of needle nose or something like that so you can help pull the tubing off of the barbs. The 1/4-inch wrench is also to remove the barbs if necessary. So the first thing you want to do is you're going to want to disconnect all the tubing that is connected to the valve. Starting with the hard tubing first, Teflon tubing. Next, you're going to want to disconnect the soft tubing. It helps to be able to pull the tubing out if you have a pair of pliers. I just broke that barb, so 1/4-inch wrench is the right size to remove the barb. Next, you're going to want to disconnect the N2 pressure switch. It's just 2 quick connect fittings. Also, you're going to want to remove the tubing from the reducer barb for the labyrinth seal and the anti-static. Flush cuts so you can trim the tube off again on the end. These barbs are a little bit bigger, they're a little bit harder to be able to just pull it off, so sometimes you gotta snip it a little bit. Next step is you're gonna need to remove the 1/4-inch tubing that goes to the side of the valve. And then you're going to want to remove the 5/16 nuts that hold the valve to the bowl. Then remove the valve. All right, next you're going to want to install the valve. Usually easier to connect the N2 supply to the solenoid bank with the 1/4-inch tube before you install the valve all the way. Simply push it onto the barb. Next, place the valve back into position and install the 5/16 hardware. And actually, before you do that all the way, you're going to maybe want to leave that a little bit loose so that you can install the tubing back on the inside of the valve. The clear tubing goes on the back for the N2 valve. The longer one will go on the bottom. The shorter one will go on the top. thing for the LPP. You're going to want to install the tubing. The longer one will go on the bottom. Shorter one will go onto the top. If it's hard to determine the length of the tube, you may want to apply a zip tie to the tubing when you remove it, just to identify a top or bottom tube so you can put it back on the proper location. Next, you're going to want to reinstall the 5/16 hardware. Careful not to drop it. Next, you're going to want to reinstall the 5/16 hardware to hold the valve to the tool. And tighten down with the wrench. Next, you're going to also want to take the old valve and remove the branch tee. Reapply Teflon tape to the tee before installing, and apply new Teflon tape to the threads before installing on the new valve. Then take your branch tee and screw it into the new valve until it's tight. Then you're going to want to reinstall the tubing to the branch tee. Make sure the ferrules are still inside of the caps. And tubing is pressed all the way inside as you tighten it down. For an N2 Purge Saver Valve, you take your anti-static and your labyrinth seal and install them to the tee that comes out of the bottom of the valve on this side. That controls the N2 pressure going to your anti-static and your labyrinth seal. You're also going to want to install the N2 supply line at the bottom of the N2 distribution manifold. Make sure it's screwed in tight. And then lastly, do not forget to reinstall the wires that go to the 20 psi pressure switch for the system N2. And that is how you install an N2 Purge Saver valve.